Behind me is the welterweight champion of dump trailers. That's right, the MDT, the medium duty telescopic, is what we call the welterweight because it's lighter weight. It is the lighter weight GVWR capacity meant for half-ton pickups like Tundra, 1500s, F-150s, those type vehicles. Is kind of at the peak of the range of those. Can be used obviously with heavier trucks, but the MDT is perfect for those half-ton trucks, and they may be geared toward like homeowner, light landscape, light construction, ranches, things like that. But just because they are geared toward more of a homeowner usage, doesn't mean we don't spend the same amount of energy, engineering, all of those things, those resources on this trailer, just like we do our big ones. So we're going to take a look at this one. We're going to load it up, give you some action of dumping it, and then we'll do a walk around on it, just kind of pointing out the bones of it, like what makes it stand out, what makes it better than the rest, what makes it the welterweight champion. Alright, so it's a pretty good load, and at Brian's request, our video guy says, tell him that's how we do it, boys. But you can see, I mean, it's pretty well loaded. I got a little paint in the back for you guys who say we may load it to the back. A little paint in the back on the floor. It is from the center forward. So, pretty heavily loaded. Don't have an exact on this one as far as how much dirt is in there. It's a 77-inch wide bed, 24-inch tall sides, so it's loaded pretty good. But now, here comes the fun part. First, we're gonna do the walk around, kind of point out what's standard, point out what this one has for options. Then from there, we will do the test, the ultimate test, see if it dumps it. It should dump it. I don't really know how much weight is in there, but yeah, disclaimer. So it is pretty heavy. You can see it squatted the Tundra pretty good. So let's get to it. So the MDT, it has two little brothers. MDT rated at 9890, just under 10,000 pounds, GVWR. Then we have the GDT rated at 7,000 pounds, GVWR, tandem axle, very similar, almost exactly the same body, except for two 3,500-pound axles. Then we have the GST single axle, 1.6K axle, rated at 6,000 pounds GVWR. Again, the MDT is the biggest of the three. It's kind of, to me, like the go-to for your late model half-ton pickups, even 3/4. It is great around the farm, light construction, light landscape, well, even pretty heavy landscape if you're considering like mulch and things like that, but very handy. 3-stage telescopic design, much like the LPT. So this trailer, this class of trailers, these three, and then the GST, GDT, and MDT were inspired by the big boys, the LPT and the WDT with the telescopic. We thought, man, that worked so well going with the low profile I-beam design integrated with the telescopic cylinder. It works really well together. So it gives you all that pushing leverage off the front, because the same thing exists on this, even in a homeowner application or on the farm, is that you can still front load one of either a scissor lift in this application or a single push cylinder under the bed in this application. So we went with telescopic, which is, it's almost impossible to front load one of those. 6-inch I-beam frame design. So the big boys like the LPT is 8-inch. This is a 6-inch I-beam frame. The tongue frame, all one, goes from the coupler all the way to the rear dump hinges, is the unit frame. Got the body on this one. The standard is 18-inch tall sides. This one is 24-inch tall. The option we selected for it is 24-inch tall sides. We've got 12K jack, which is an option. Standard is 7K. Outside of that, it's all pretty well standard. We've got the board brackets for the added height, plus a little bit of, which if I may say so myself, did pretty decent loading it. Didn't hit the side, but the board is great, because had I hit the bucket, on the side, you bust a board, that's not a big deal. You can replace that versus, you know, if you're talking about hitting the powder coat, you have to repair that, and it's not nearly as easy. We also opted for the 3/16 super heavy duty fenders on this one. The standard running gear suspension is 6,000 pound axles on the MDT. Two 6,000 pound axles. We wanted, when we were speccing it, to go a little heavier. The industry standard would be a 5,200 pound axle in this setup, but we thought, man, a 6 is just a touch more, gives you a little bit heavier duty running gear, a little heavier duty bearings, that kind of stuff. And so we went with the 6s. Still a 225 10-ply tire, got a equalizer suspension that has the slipper springs. Can't really see it up under there right now, but a lot of them, other manufacturers opt for a eye-to-eye spring versus a slipper spring. The slipper gives you a little bit better suspension travel, versus the eye-to-eye is a little more rigid, in my opinion. So let's see what else. These are standard MDT with what we call, you know, a combo gate. Which most are, nothing surprising there. You can open it as barn doors or have the spreader function, either one. The body on the MDT is made the same way, which with all the dirt in there, probably should have shown you this with it unloaded. We can touch back on it, but the body has the central seam design like we talk about on the bigger dumps as well, so that we don't get those seams in the corner for rust habitat. We keep our seams out in the center, number one, just so it's easy to keep them clean. Number two, we overlap the bed pieces to where that you don't have that butt seam design down the middle that can tear apart over time when you're talking about heavier aggregates and concrete and things like that. So we always overlap it, thus giving you a much stronger floor design. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna back up. Obviously you saw me load it. I'm gonna dump it right back in the same spot just to give you a visual on this thing doing work, putting in the work. These chains are adjustable so that you kind of control how far the doors go back. And use the same chain for the spreader feature. Right. Second stage right now. Here in a minute you'll hear it change pitch again, and it'll go to the third stage, which will end up being a little bit faster again. There's the third stage. Sweet. All the way up. Looking good. Let's see. we've mentioned in a few of our other videos, you always want to shoot for 45-degree dump angle, because that stuff's wet at all, damp. You got to get to 45 or it's going to be super difficult to come out. Ooh, we got a little bit still stuck there. You can see though here what I was talking about. We've got the one seam right here up and down the bed, and that sheet is overlapped by a few inches. That way you don't have that butt weld that I was talking about earlier, and then it keeps your seam out of the corners. So you got one sheet down, over, one sheet the same way on the other side. So 2 sheets make up the floor and sides of this dump trailer, making it super durable over time when doing stuff like this. So the downstroke is quite a bit faster. Nice and quiet coming down. It's like the silent killer. Silent killer. Welterweight champion of dump trailers. I do believe, again, I don't know how much dirt that was, but any scissor lift or straight push cylinder, this is just my opinion obviously, but any scissor lift or straight push would have really struggled with that load. There's just no doubt, because I mean, that was, you could hear it was grunting pretty good. That's pretty heavy, especially for even a half-ton pickup or this trailer. So it was a pretty good amount of dirt there. So all right guys, there you have it. MDT, one of the hardest working middleweight class dump trailers available. Jump on our website. There you can build an MDT. We offer them, you know, 10-foot and 12-foot with anywhere from 18-inch sides up to 44-inch sides. You can do the board brackets, all the different colors, tons of options on there to make one your own. This one has a solar panel, helps keep the battery charged. There's all kinds of good stuff there. Jump on our website in the Learning Center. There, tons of information about dump trailers in general. Do you need an MDT, or do you need an LPT? Do you need a WDT? Like, you can learn tons of information there to better understand what class do you need. You know, because the last thing we want you to do is buy an MDT when you really needed LPT, which is the bigger one. I know I'm throwing all the acronyms around and model names, but the worst thing you can do is invest money in something that is below the grade that you needed. So don't be disappointed in purchasing the wrong trailer, and don't just buy what the dealer has. Do your research. I encourage you. Tons of information out there on Diamond C's website, YouTube, many other resources. Check out our playlist on YouTube. You can find out a lot there as well. So we appreciate you taking this time. Hopefully this was insightful about the MDT and the class it belongs in, and we'll see you on the road.